This is the House of Parliament where men and women have sat for decades, making decisions that would affect all our lives. Do they really work in the interests of the people or themselves? They sit at the round tables, trying to decipher which way to turn. Is it left or is it right? Have the people benefited from those decisions? Our people have suffered for far too long. Change should not be a figment of the imagination, but reality. Every boy, every girl, every man, every woman are equally important. The market vendor joyfully sells her produce. The fish vendor skillfully uses his cutlass to cut the fish. Keep on working. Let your smile be your motivation. Build a community of brotherly and sisterly love. Don't give up on your dreams. Surround yourself with positive thinkers. Think big and keep on moving. Keep pushing the envelope. Yes, push that envelope until you have succeeded. You may have made many mistakes, but that is no reason to stop. Don't you dare give up. Get ready for that overflow. Get ready for that breakthrough. The overflow is coming. Showers of blessings. Stay cool. Stay calm. Stay collective. Ride the rough waves of life. Hold on to that rope tightly. Just keep working. Keep moving. Keep believing. Self-motivation. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Lies and Deceit. Apologies for the late start. I see some of y'all were messaging me, but I had to wait for my guest because, he has to be in the mix of what we're doing, so I had to wait for him. But I am here. So it is Dominic Fedee tonight. And I want to say thank you for coming out tonight. I know some of my friends may not be able to watch it tonight. You can watch it Saturday because I am kind of busy tomorrow for the weekend. Fedee's in the house. Fedee again. Fedee again. 5 years again. Fedee again. 5 years. Fedee again. 5 years. Thank you for the coffees, May. Thank you for the coffees, someone. Thank you for the coffees. Let me just say thank you to all of y'all. Y'all went out to show So. Y'all have her back and y'all are supporting her with the coffees. Continue supporting with the coffees. I thank y'all. I love y'all. Y'all make me feel so all warm and fuzzy inside that y'all have y'all girl back. And I have y'all back because I'm here to talk the truth. Fedee again. So we have Fedee here tonight. Mr. Dominic Fedee. Small axe, cut down big trees. I have asked some of y'all to send in some questions. It's going to be a very exciting show tonight. All of us are going to have fun, sit back, share the live, If you're watching the live and you're not a follower and you want to comment, you have to follow me to comment. And I want to commend my followers on my page. When we get our stats, thank you, Mary, for the coffees. We love you and I love you more. I love you more. I love you more. I love you more, Mary. May, I love you. Moses, I love you more. Thank you all for the coffee. So let me tell you all, let us sit back, and I want to thank you all. As I was saying, most of my views comes from my followers. That means you guys are really on the ball, and I thank you for that. Good night, Arnold. Sarah from the United States of America. I saw your husband on my live, and he said that you said hi to me. Hi, Sarah. Love you. Miss you. Hi, Ingrid. Shay. Yes, again. Welcome to all my SLP people. Welcome. I'm seeing y'all coming through. It's okay. It's only true fair. It's only true fair. Hey. Again. Fedee again. We have Fedee again. So remember, people, the link to the coffee, everybody keep asking me, the link of the coffee is pinned to the top. So if you want to find the link, just go to the top and you are going to see it. Good night, Sarah, Kachatina is in the house. Esther, Sabi, Harold, hi Harold, darling, how are you? Marguerite, Fedee again. We are going to the polls very soon. So this man, Dominic Fedee, has been working from the time he lost. So he winning again. 5 more years, we taking Fedee again. Come on, one and all. So people, let's get started. To my Adventist people, I gave you all 2 Saturdays, but I need my weekend to rest. I'm a bit tired, and I have stuff to do. But I love you. Jace is in the house. Kyle Ernest, my son, is there showing eyes. What my mommy doing? Mommy is a. Hello. Patrice, Lauren, Cynthia is in the house. Fedee again. Now, my people, let's get right down to business, because I know there is so much going on. I got a little sipsioi. Who they hold up in the UK? They hold up somebody in the UK, then they'll release him. They hold up somebody in the UK, then they release him. I have my visa. Ro. Anisha is in the house. I love you too, darling. She said she loves Susu. I love you, darling. Hey, y'all don't hear the soaps. Natalie Dudu, y'all ain't hear the soaps. They hold up somebody for questioning in the UK, but they let him go. Somebody they watching you. Yeah, you said the coffee lady. The coffee lady is intelligent. She can travel anywhere, and they're stopping her. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Go buy the coffee. Show them you supporting so-so. Show them. My people, Lucretia, yeah, we're going. So let us look at a video of this powerful man, Dominic Fedee. Let's take a look at this video.
All right, so my name is Dominic Fedee. I'm the Minister of Tourism for Saint Lucia.
I am Donalyn Vite, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of the Minister, Ministry of Tourism, and a very, very long name, Information Broadcasting, Culture and Creative Industries.
Yeah, I forgot that part of my portfolio as well. But yeah, same drill.
Yeah, pleasure to see both of you. And congratulations on a fabulous evening tonight at the World Travel Awards. You can see a wonderful trophy there. How does it feel to have won?
Indeed, it is a wonderful trophy. I feel very excited, very elated that Saint Lucia has been highlighted in this spectacular award for Best Leading Honeymoon Destination.
It's a great year for you last year, broke through a new tourism visitor number record. Tell me about that.
Well, it just means that I think that more and more people are getting access to us. It means that our marketing synergies and strategies are working. And we've just been trying to tell more people about Saint Lucia while we've been developing our product. We see a lot of traction on the investment side, a lot of traction on the customer service point of view. There's a lot of confidence in Saint Lucia. This year we had about almost 8% growth year on year. And it's just amazing, but it's helped by a lot of things. You know, the US market is booming, the stock market is incredible, the job numbers are the best it has been since the world financial crisis, and I think generally the global economy is doing well. And once we continue to have a strong global economy, I think tourism is going to do well globally.
And do you think the trophy you're holding there will help be a successful tool to get that message out even further?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things for us is that we really need to signal this when we get back home. We need to let all Saint Lucians know how wonderful our destination is out there and how wonderful we even look on camera. I mean, the number of things that were portrayed this evening about Saint Lucia and what really causes us to win this fabulous award year on year, even on the world stage, is really our people and the warmth and the very many little destinations that we have and the activities that are able to allow, you know, the honeymooners to come out and experience that coziness of our island.
Congratulations to both of you, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
allow me, Sohria Alexander, to introduce my guest, the phenomenal, the dynamite, the man that cuts big trees with his axe, a man that knows how to run the tourism industry. Our former Minister of Tourism, Creative Industries, and all the other portfolios ascribed to him. None other, a father, a doting father over his two sons. Let us welcome my guest, Senator Dominic Fedee. Welcome, sir.
Hi, Sohria. Thank you. Good evening to Saint Lucia. A special good evening to the people of Ancillary Canneries, all of my friends and family and everyone there. I just want to say a special good evening to all of you. And good night, Sohria. You're indeed a powerful woman. You have a great smile, and what a vivacious start to this show.
Oh yes, oh yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the compliment, but it is all about you tonight. Let us get to know, because everybody, what I find about the show, people were so excited, and I know why they were excited, because many people are hurting and they know that you are a guru in terms of our tourism industry, and they have many questions to ask you. But before we go into the meat of the matter and speak about different stuff, just tell us a little on the lighter side of things. Who is Dominic Fedee? What you like, the foods you like to eat. Just give us a little bit about you. You know, what sports you like. Just let us get into you. Who is Dominic Fedee on the lighter side?
Well, I'm a son of, 4 kids in the family. My dad is from Saint Lucia. My mom is from Guyana.
Guyana, yes.
I've got 2 brothers and a beautiful sister. And, we're just a very ordinary middle-class family that, like anyone else, trying to make ends meet and trying to make St. Lucia a better place so that we can all be good in it. I have 2 wonderful boys that I love very, very much. And, they are the center of my world. And, I just really, really live for them. And I want them and everyone in their generation to have a better St. Lucia. I love politics, obviously. I'm very fascinated by the things that you can do within politics. I'm very mad about cricket. Love cricket, but
I heard that.
the sport doesn't love me as much. I don't play as good as
Oh my God.
my other 2 brothers. My brother Sergio had the honor of captaining St. Lucia, and as well played for the Windward Islands, first class level, played for many seasons in England. My brother Jose actually played for St. Lucia at the under 19 level, but I only made it to the trials if I had to boast about anything else. But that year they picked both my brothers and they didn't think I was good enough. But, I'm proud of them all the same, and really love my family very, very much.
Yes, you're a family man. So tell us, how was it being raised by a mother who is Guyanese and your father who is a St. Lucian? How you were able to cope with the 2 different cultures?
It just meant that whenever St. Lucia was playing the Windward Islands in cricket, there would be a big debate in the house. My father naturally backed the Windward Islands.
Right.
And he was very sure to point out to us who the St. Lucians were in the team. So in my younger days, the heroes were Julian Charles and John Eugene and Alton Crofton much later. But we were kept up to date with what was happening in St. Lucia. And, it was really a lot of fun. It gave me 2 different perspectives, 2 different cultures. And I think it has helped to shape me fundamentally. And I think the person that I am today was shaped by 2 amazing people. My father passed away about 3 years ago. Okay. He was the love of my mother's life for about 45 years. And yeah, I don't think she's gotten over it yet. But we're all coping with this loss. And we love him dearly for all of the values that he has instilled in us. He has been a wonderful dad to us and really has poured everything he had into us. And we all miss him so very, very much. And, whenever it's his birthday and Father's Day, the memory comes back and all of the
Yeah.
fun times that we had. But, life, and we just got to live our lives now to make him proud and to
Exactly.
make sure that the values that he has instilled in us, that we can try our best to live up to his expectations of us.
Yes. Now, I have a question to ask you. You are a young man, and what made you decide to go into politics? Because you could have chosen, you were in the tourism industry doing very well. You had a very outstanding position, prominent position. And as a young man with such a successful career, what prompted you to go into politics?
So part of my responsibility in my former life, I oversaw the corporate social responsibility for a well-known company. And that really took me deep inside of the issues in the community. So I got a first-hand as to how people lived. I got a in-depth appreciation for the social ills and the economic malaise. I came to one conclusion, and that was that people were earning too little, and cost of living kept going up. And whenever I met politicians, I would suggest ideas, things that we can do to improve our country and develop our country. I wasn't by any means political at all. My family is not political. My dad always supported UWP, and we all kind of went along with that. So basically, I just wanted to make a contribution. When I went to my mother and my dad and I said, this is what I want to do, they both thought that I was crazy. They said, anything else but that. And it took them a while to come around to the idea. But, as I'm in politics now, and I think of all the persecution, all of the mudslinging, all of the lies, the rumors. Just recently, I saw something posted by Christopher Hunt, which is absolutely horrendous. But, you think of it, and then you have to agree with your parents that if they really love you, they wouldn't want this for you. And this really was what my parents was trying to avoid and to keep me from, and that is to make sure that I was free from all of that persecution, all of the rumors. People don't need facts to tell a story about you. They just make up conspiracy theories. And with social media now, you can just have a fake name. If I want to, brandish you and tarnish your reputation, I just create several fake names and I can do it to you. So it has gotten crazy, and we have degraded the political discourse to name calling and settling personal scores. I mean, just look at the last House of Assembly. That is a perfect example of what exists. But we have a number of issues that are confronting us at this time. I mean, when I think of the unemployment rate is extremely high.
Very high.
Our inability to be able to provide quality health care for our people and to finance it. We had a plan in the last regime, and had we won the election, you would have seen a lot more work being done to advance our plan to ensure that every Saint Lucian had the coverage for medical insurance. When you look at the economy, before 2016, we had years of negative growth. We continue to borrow money at unsustainable levels, COVID or no COVID. So we have some real problems in this country, and I'm dying for the discourse to get back to talking about people's issues. Look, now we have the issue with the supply chain. If you go to the hardware stores now and you try to buy a sheet of plywood to do a kudme, a sheet of plywood is now $200. A year ago, it was $120. So things have gotten extremely expensive. And so when, as an opposition, we called on the government to seek to expand the number of zero-rated items, we did so out of an acute understanding that people are hurting, people are suffering,
Yes,
even
they
more so
are.
with COVID-19. So not only have they lost their jobs, not only are they behind on their loans, but as well, um, they are facing a significant or unprecedented inflation that is rocking the world. And so when you look at what's happening to ship a container in, the cost has gone up because of the global disruption. That extra cost is being passed on to ordinary consumers that are listening to the show.
Yes.
And so what are we going to do to arrest that? Is the government willing, for example, to look at giving people a break on VAT for a few years, perhaps a few months? But anything that the government can do in this very unprecedented time of our history is very, very critical. We continue to see that COVID-19 is having an untold impact on the economic situation globally and locally and regionally as well. So
Yeah.
I would wish that the discourse would get back to talking about bread and butter issues, issues that people care about, their jobs, their mortgages, um, university education for more of our secondary school graduates has to be a big conversation going on in the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, now
So
let me just cut in here. You touch a very, very important point. I
yeah,
think it's about 2 weeks ago, our Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, he said when he was asked this question about inflation by a reporter, and they asked him, what is he going to do about the rise in prices in the supermarket and everything
you
is very
suggested we
high?
should eat bananas.
He suggested we should eat bananas, but not only that, he went on to say to the reporter he cannot do anything about inflation. He said he would have to do a cost benefit analysis to see if the benefits outweigh the cost. But he should know that Saint Lucia and the wider world, we are not responsible for inflation. The pandemic caused that. So in
Correct.
essence, he is saying that he doesn't have a way forward in helping the people of Saint Lucia. So what say you?
Well, sure. I think that the government needs to do this cost benefit analysis very quickly to see whether the country can afford it. One, to see how much of VAT you can afford, how many zero rated items can you put in the basket that currently obtains, so that you can give the people of St. Lucia a break on this. It is absolutely critical. We're finding means to give breaks to other sectors of the economy. And so we have to find a way to also give those breaks to the ordinary citizens of this country. I strongly believe that. And so even if it is one or two more items that people consume on a daily basis consistently, then I think that that's worth a shot. But anything we can do to ease the pain is absolutely necessary. They can
Exactly.
also look at how much they can reduce the VAT by, and for a limited amount of time based on revenue collections that they're facing now. Now, it's been easy for them. It's a lot easier. We've made it easier for them in that when we were managing this pandemic, don't forget, the mainstay of the economy was completely shut down in the initial phases. We have built this back. We've gotten tourism to maybe 50% of where it used to be in 2019, the figures would show. And so, therefore, I think that the government is in a much better shape. Government revenue would be in a much better shape than it was while we were in government. And so they are better placed to be able to give people some reprieve. I strongly believe that this is something that is worth advocating for, and you'll hear me talking about this more and more.
Yeah, but the thing I don't understand is that this government apparently does not understand the way forward. Now, I know you were the main person with regards to the COVID Management Center, and you did a brilliant job in ensuring that we didn't crash and burn in terms of our tourism industry. However, we saw, all of us as St. Lucians, we saw the problems we encountered when the numbers started to rise. and the lackadaisical attitude of the government of Saint Lucia of not arresting this played a critical part in our numbers being very high and we being flagged with code red by the United States of America for people not to come to Saint Lucia. So it really affected our economy, and it is still affecting our economy. Now, in your tenure, I will show a graph where in 2016, when you took office, right? That's the international people coming to St. Lucia. When you took office, well, this was remnants of the past administration. But it shows significantly, I'll put the graph up, where our numbers climbed up until 2019. So I am showing this graph to show St. Lucians that you as a tourism minister, and by extension, the United Workers' Party government, had a good grip on the economy in terms of tourism. Now, as you could see in 2019, we surpassed 1,220,something thousand visitors. And out of that, we had like 400 and something thousand stayovers that stayed. But however, looked at what happened in 2020. The pandemic crashed and burned those good figures. However, the hypocrisy of the St. Lucia Labour Party, when in government, said that you should have closed the country down. So after we were suffering so much, right, closing the country down, no fault of the previous government, it's a pandemic which has wreaked havoc on the tourism industry, and they knew that. But they were saying to the electorate, they were saying to the people of St. Lucia that your government could have done more. So I just need you to explain, because in 2019, if you look at the figures, 2017, 18, 19, we were on our way up. And I'm telling you, had this pandemic not come, St. Lucians would have been reaping the rewards of your fantastic work. So I need you to just explain to them, the amount of revenue. I know you lost millions of dollars in revenue, and yet the opposition was saying to the people of St. Lucia that you could have done more.
Well, Sohria, they are now running the country, and we see what they're able to do. Excuses, 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 a lot of outstanding promises that they haven't been able to make. But I want to focus on the graph that you have shown, because that really puts everything into perspective. Because what it does say to the people of St. Lucia is that St. Lucia was ready to take off in 2019. And had the pandemic not come, what was going to happen is that we would have been at a whole new different level. All of our policies, all of the new arrangements that we made to ensure that we reorganize the tourism sector, we have to go back from when the St. Lucia Labour Party was spending some $14 million on the Jazz Festival. And what they were doing is they were doing this to give their friends free tickets. And there were some 11,000 free tickets were given away, for example, in the 2016 Jazz Festival. So when we came in, they were spending 14 million on the Jazz Festival. They were spending 9 million to pay administration fees. And the total budget to market the country was 35 million. So they really were left with about what's 14 plus 9 would give you a total of 23. They were really left with 12 million EC dollars to promote St. Lucia in Canada, in the US, in Europe, in the UK, and all of our various markets, even the Caribbean. Now, you and I know that that is not up to par. That is not a strategic way of using your funds. We came in, we restructured it, we set up the St. Lucia Tourism Authority. We were more strategic in the use of the marketing funds. Today, we have put its own revenue stream for tourism. So the Tourism Authority has its own fund in the tourism head tax that we put on. And we were able to increase the revenue.
when we were about to increase the revenue by raising the taxes on what the airlines were paying to come to St. Lucia, we brought it in line with where the rest of the Caribbean were. And so we did so in order to be able to drive more revenue and put government finances in a better shape. So by doing that, we had more money to promote the country. We went out and we aggressively sought new airlift. During that time, you would have seen American Airlines putting on a second flight at Miami. That's for the first time in history that that happened, 2 flights a day via American Airlines. We saw a new flight out of Chicago by United Airlines. We saw United Airlines again continuing its service from Newark, additional lift from JetBlue, and so on. We saw additional lift from British Airways in terms of the number of rotations that they did. So we worked and worked and worked. The pandemic came, and that really was a spoiler. But even though we had the pandemic, we contemplated our reopening sometime in June of 2020. The current tourism minister, I will call him Ernest. Ernest says that he had issues with the opening of the borders because we were bringing COVID to infect the people of St. Lucia.
Yes, he said that. Yes, he did.
I know that the private sector met with the opposition and said to them, listen, these are the figures. When we test the tourists that are leaving St. Lucia, it's a very small number of the tourists that are leaving the country. So therefore, the fact that we had pre-tested the tourists, the fact that we had the tourists within the complex of the hotel until we found out more about COVID, because these were the early days, we did not open up the tours so that the tourists can go into the community, because we wanted to make sure that we were protecting the lives of the people of St. Lucia.
Exactly.
And when we did so, he said that we had 2 St. Lucias. We then opened up our tours, started opening up our villas, opening up more hotels as we learned more about COVID, as we tested our protocols and they were working. And we saw that the protocols helped to protect and build a very strong shield of defense against COVID-19 from going on to the rest of the population. And by doing so, we then went ahead and we did some extraordinary things in reopening. We put together a strategic marketing plan, which was extremely comprehensive, looked at what was happening, especially in the United States and the UK, the 2 markets that were opened. Then we got, these are the results. We had a historic flight from Dallas. St. Lucia had never seen that before. We had American Airlines flying from Chicago. St. Lucia had never seen that before. After many years of being out of service, we returned the American Airlines flight out of JFK. We also instituted a brand new flight from JetBlue out of Newark, New Jersey. These are outstanding results that we have had. These same results are the results that we're seeing bearing fruit right now. So much so that if you compare the number in 2019, which was our record-breaking year, in 2019, before COVID, we had 423,000 visitors. But if you compare the month of July of 2021, you would see that we had more hotel guests coming into the country than we did in the year 2019. So therefore, it showed that there was a tremendous rebound. We would have by June got back some 75% of our US business. Today, about 79% of that market is back. So really what I'm trying to say to you is that the pace of growth has slowed down tremendously under the stewardship of Dr. Ernest Hilaire.
Yes, it has. And now, not for me not to lose my train of thought, but hold what you're saying there, because it has been 2 years since COVID, and based on an annual report from the Saint Lucia Hotel Tourism Association, they are saying that we are halfway from pre-COVID numbers. So in 2021, our tourist arrival declined by 34%.
Correct.
And not only that, let me put this in figures. It is 153,366 less than 2019. So
That is correct.
in essence, when in 2019 we had 1.286 million, right? And we had like 423 as our overnight stayovers. What are we going to do about that? Because in 2019, our GDP to tourism was 43%. So right now, it has taken a significant hit, and I am not hearing any substantial economic growth in terms of how our tourism minister, Ernest Hille, is going to push this country. I believe that we are in serious trouble because yesterday, a taxi driver said to me, we are getting nothing. He even mentioned your name. He said when Dominic Fedee was there, when the boats came in, the cruise ships came in, they would get something. Now, let me tell you what people are saying. People are saying it's like the Malay ways, which this government pushed so much, they are now in the back seat. And the elites are the ones getting all the tours and making all the monies, and they are not getting any monies. People are hurting. So I just need you to expound on this for me. If we are going to take care of the people of Saint Lucia, how come it's only one set are surviving?
Well, I look at what's happening, and the vendors have not been able to be included in a very serious way. The taxi drivers, they're not included in in a serious way in what's going on. And so the trickle down that we're supposed to see, the minister needs to now do some work with all of the stakeholders and come up with a plan. You've had people who were out of business for quite some time, who had not gained any economic opportunity. I mean, take, for example, the car rental sector. They only came back a few months ago.
Exactly.
And, this is a very important sector, almost 100% St. Lucian owned. And they are small businesses. And they were hurting. They had their staff laid off for the greater part of a year and a half. The restaurant sector continues to play hopscotch and doesn't know which direction the government is going. The whole thing doesn't have any direction. It doesn't seem to have expressed any plan. So I'm sorry if I'm as confused as you, but the players in that sector, they are extremely confused as well, because they are not seeing where the business is going to come from. We see cancellations by cruise lines to come to St. Lucia. We see cancellations by visitors who have come. In fact, the January that we just had wasn't as strong.
No.
We should have anticipated that, and that is because of the Omicron variant. But you see, tourism is being ahead of the game, being one step ahead, and you have to be proactive. And so, therefore, you can't be reacting to the problems of the world when they do come. So, if we know that there was COVID, and if we know that the confidence of people were going to be affected, then we had to put plans in place. We had a campaign called Book with Confidence while we were there to encourage people to travel during COVID, for example. You give a customer the assurance that if something goes wrong with their vacation or their trip, that a cancellation or a lockdown or a losing time, that they would be compensated. And we made that absolutely clear. So I want to say to you that we have a lot of problems ahead. Take, for example, the load factor, the number of people staying on the airline seats. The load factor coming to St. Lucia recorded some 51% back in January. That's very, very low. January is our peak booking month. This is the winter season. We're in the height of the winter season. And if we're unable to do 51% in the month of January, or if we're doing as badly as that, then it goes to show that the minister doesn't know what he's talking about when he says that the industry is flourishing, because this is average. You really want to be in the high 90s so that you can compensate for the low months come June, July, come
Exactly,
May,
the slow
come
periods.
September. This is the traditional slow period. So while we built up significant airlift, I'm afraid, Sohria, that we are standing the risk now of losing all these air seats that we have amassed. And that is because the world is reopening. And now the airlines have a lot of other places to go. And so
Exactly.
they are now going to look at St. Lucia and say, if in the winter months you are unable to fill your seats and to get a decent load factor where it's profitable for the air aviation sector, then I'm afraid that you could lose some of those seats as the airlines contemplate their schedules for the slow season in the summer months. So it is very important that we get this extremely correct now, because if we don't, the island stands to lose significantly.
And you,
You
are
know,
very right about that. Not cutting you short. You are very right about that, because I am in awe. I am very perturbed right now, because I know the US and the UK are our highest markets, also Canada. However, I am seeing on the calendar of events by this SLP government that they have an expose in Dubai. Now help me understand something. Maybe I am missing something. Maybe I don't have all the information. But I never knew Dubai contributed so much to tourism, our GDP. Because why are we doing an expose, our 43rd independence anniversary? Why are we in Dubai? To me, we should be concentrating on our markets that brings us the dollars. So I don't know if you want to share some light on this, because I am totally confused.
you're absolutely right. And the list, I mean, the amount of money that is being spent in airline tickets, some are first class, and there's a big contingent of artisans. And I have absolutely no problems with celebrating our independence and showing the world what we have to offer. But I think that we have missed a great opportunity to ensure that we have the visibility where we have the potential for tourism to flourish. So, for example, how do you get from Dubai to St. Lucia? You're going to overnight in London? Do you think that travelers in today's world do that? There's no airlift from Dubai. And so, again, this is the kind of ill-fated decision making that I'm talking about that really goes in the face of common sense. And so, the tourism minister would have to explain, why are you going to take the limited amount of money that the tourism authority has right now for marketing and go to Dubai to do what? And so therefore, why didn't you go to the US, where you have a problem with filling your air seats? And I just mentioned the load factor. I mean, I don't want to name any airline to share commercial sensitive commercial information, but there's one airline that has registered a load factor in the 40s, which is extremely worse. But when you take the average, it's at 51. So you need to go and to boost the confidence in that marketplace. You need to drive demand so that we can compensate for the unprecedented cancellations that are taking place, but also we can fill up the empty air seats. But you could have still achieved what you're trying to do by showing the world the majestic and the wonders of St. Lucia, by taking the same cast of artisans and Dennery segment musicians and so on. You could have taken them to the UK, where I believe we need some work to be done as well in this time. My information is that the bookings are starting to fall off come this spring. And that is not cancellations, is that Europe is now reopening for travel. And so one of our largest markets, the UK market, is now seeing significant pent-up demand, because for about 2 years, Europe was in a flux with its COVID numbers. And now there's an ability for people to go. And so now that the weather is getting better, it's going to be harder for destinations like St. Lucia and the rest of the Caribbean islands. So we really have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of proactive uh, strategies to make so that we can ensure that we continue to drive demand to St. Lucia, to continue to make our hotels more profitable, to continue to create jobs so that the hotel worker in this country has been on rotation. They're receiving less hours every time we have gone through a period of less occupancy. It means that the waiter, the taxi driver, the front desk receptionist, or the spa therapist, that person would be in a very difficult situation. It's harder for them to look after their families because they would receive less pay. So this is a very important task to be done to make sure that we recover this economy, continue the great work that the United Workers' Party has started.
Exactly.
But they're going down the wrong path. And I'm really feeling hurt because I think that all of what we have done is about to be squandered by people who clearly don't know what they're doing. And so I am available if the board needs some help. I'm sure that the former Prime Minister, who has got significant experience in tourism, come to the table. Let's forget the politics and let's discuss the future of the industry so that we can work and get this industry on the right footing.
Exactly, because when you look at the UK, as you rightfully said, that market should be targeted. I am yet to understand why Dubai is the next best thing. Whereas if they look at the information before them, they would see it's not. So it is leaving.
So a big question for the Minister of Tourism. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem, no problem.
And I want to place this on the record. How many visitors do we get from Dubai to justify the significant spend? I saw a list of individuals, and it's close to 40 individuals traveling on the contingent to go to Expo Dubai. At these big trade shows, when you go to a show like Expo Dubai, because our budget is so small, we are not able to compete with some of the bigger countries that is able to buy, 25 booths and to create a big pavilion and to take over a massive space in the expedition. So really you have to put money where you will get a return because there's a scarcity of funds. And really and truly, the Tourism Authority, I anticipate that they're going to be hard pressed to get the desired marketing budget that they require. And that is because you have mentioned that we've lost 300 million in revenue, as well as $1 billion in GDP activity. So therefore, significantly. So therefore, they need to be a lot more strategic than they've ever been in the past. This is not a time for jolly boy outings.
Now, I'm suspecting that they are not listening because I am not going to beat up the technocrats. Let's put up the GDP to the different islands. I am not going to beat up the technocrats because the technocrats have been there with the previous governments. And when you look at it, Saint Lucia, we are second on the list after Aruba in terms of tourism, how heavily dependent we are on it. And you can see there. So my question is, we are actually heading down a cliff because there is no way that information presents itself. And our government, a contingency of 40 people, are heading to Dubai to do what? And this is why I am asking St. Lucians to think critically. Apart from Aruba, we are second on the list. This is what we depend on. We cannot be trying to go and look for a market that is not lucrative. And the other thing I am saying, it also tells me that our Minister of Tourism is not IT savvy, because This world, you look at you and I, we're doing this interview via technology. You mean to say to me that all 40 people had to go to Dubai? Why not 5 and the rest, dialogue via, virtual conferences? All this money being wasted for what? And then the little man is suffering. Because I had a taxi driver come to bring me somewhere, right? And he is saying, my lady, thank you. And his gas tank was almost on empty. I paid him. And he is saying that he cannot survive. Nothing is coming in. So this government, in essence, is made up of, all the bright lights. But they promise the people, they promise the vendors. I'm realizing the vendors, the craft market vendors, are complaining that they do not get anything. So if you're telling me you are not making plans as a minister of tourism to boost back this tourism industry, and all this man is thinking of vax masks. So I need you to explain to me, what do you think of this carnival thing he is thinking of? And he's looking at the small picture to benefit friends, family, elites, and not the wider populace.
Well, running the tourism industry is a lot different from managing a carnival band.
Exactly.
The minister has a very large background in managing carnival bands. But speaking of empty promises, this government, they have made a lot of promises. And you spoke about the vendors. I recall the Prime Minister who was on Andre Paul's show saying that he never promised the people of Saint Lucia 1,500 in income support. Mm-hmm. In fact, he said to those same vendors that the 500 the United Workers' Party was giving was too little. Mm-hmm. And when the Labour Party comes into government, that what they would in fact do was to ensure that the people would get $1,500. Now the tape came up the following day, and that was the end of that. So, I am not surprised, and I can understand quite well why the vendors would be upset and why they would feel the way that they feel. It really is an atrocity, and a promise is a promise. The government also promised fishermen excise tax. They said that upon coming in, immediately they would remove the excise tax on gas for fishermen because there are no roads in the sea. You remember that?
Yes.
Very well.
Yes,
they said that income tax refunds within 100 days, anyone below $5,000. They also promised in their manifesto income tax. Mm-hmm. They were going to up the threshold to $4,000 a month. None of it has happened. They came to Parliament a couple weeks ago to extend a program that we started back in 2017 to give a waiver of property tax to the property owners, residential property owners in Saint Lucia. They said that they would get rid of property tax altogether. And when they brought the bill, we said, well, why don't you just remove it altogether since you said that you would? So it's a lot of broken promises. I have never ever seen such flip-flopping. I have never seen people change their minds. It is like two St. Lucia Labour Party administrations. One party contested the election, and when they came into government,
a different party.
We saw a different party altogether. Then there was another minister who was complaining that his constituents were asking him for things, and he said that, he can't give everyone that voted for him
yes,
money
I heard
and
that.
give
Yes.
them benefits. And that's not what they said in opposition. They painted St. Lucia as if the streets are going to be paved with gold.
With gold.
And so you just had to get out of your house and get to the street corner and pick up gold and pick money up from the ground. That's the way that they sold this country. But what strikes me is the unprecedented level of disappointment by the people of St. Lucia in such a short space of time.
Yes.
I'll tell you, I really thought that we would have given this government the honeymoon period. Carry on, run the country for a year, we would have to say nothing. But within 3 months, they have squandered this honeymoon period. So much has gone wrong in this country. They have misled the people in so many things. They have betrayed the people's trust. They promised to investigate corruption. Well, my thing is start with the cabinet.
Exactly.
You have allegations of one of your ministers that have a vehicle that is questionable. And there was a case in the court, you dropped the case. I think that what this does, it only raises more suspicion by the public. You have another minister with all kinds of skeletons in his closet. You have another minister who was overseeing the Freedom Bay project and, refused to tell the public what he knows about the many UK pensioners who were defrauded in that scheme. Now, by doing so, what he and his associates did is that they undermined the international reputation of Saint Lucia. And you see, whenever we do this, there are consequences. So the Prime Minister, I would really I'm looking forward to the investigations on corruption, because I believe a good place to start would be the cabinet.
Now, the thing about it, corruption, it is just a nice word used by this government. Oh, we're going to investigate corruption. It is just a way of playing on the minds of the citizenry. This is what they are doing, because I just don't understand how a party, a government, when in opposition, promise so many things. Now, I have a serious problem with 40-something people going to Dubai, because you spoke about the marketing budget and what the marketing budget is supposed to be used for. However, what they did by sending 40 people to Dubai, obviously, the marketing budget is going to be depleted. What is the significance? What are they going to bring back to the people of Saint Lucia? Going overseas to Dubai, what are the benefits? What you intend to bring to Saint Lucia? Because I realize they have a frenzy with Dubai, always in Dubai. And we have a critical issue on our hand, which is crime. And if the crime situation is not abated quick, fast, and in a hurry, tourists are going to stop coming to our beautiful island. We have a prime minister who is not hands-on. This man is not looking at what is affecting the tourism product. The mismanagement of the pandemic, the mismanagement of crime, the false hope, the false promises given to the people of Saint Lucia, and they cannot deliver. So people have been clamoring, like you said, for the 1,500, but what he said he would and not will. So you see how they play on the minds of the people of Saint Lucia. Now, the Malawites are really hurting, and they are saying they made an error in voting for the Saint Lucia Labour Party. When you have vendors selling on VG Beach, and they are saying when a cruise ship comes, they cannot sell a plate of food, they cannot sell a drink, something is drastically wrong. And tell me, Dominic, I heard Fedee said on an, not Fedee, I heard Hille said on an interview, he said Ras Ipa know his office and he know how business is done. So if he has a problem with his vendors or the market, he knows where to find him so he can come speak to him. Once those same people going to the market vendors to vote for them, and now he is saying that they know where his office is. You see, that is why my show is here, to change the thinking of our people. Over to you, Mr. Fedee.
No, that is a very strong point, because I think that as the minister, your job is to serve. In fact, the word minister is the chief minister of a ministry, and a ministry, you know what that means. You're a chief servant. So therefore, you ought to be going to the people. You ought to be going and ask them what the issues are. I'm in touch with Ras Ipa. He can call me on a heartbeat, and I'll take his call any place I am. So really, I think that that's too high-handed. I think what we want to do is to work with all stakeholders and try to understand the issues that are affecting them, because the issues are real. When we were in government, we had the OECS Tourism Development Project, and that project, what it sought to do, we were spending $40 million to improve the product of St. Lucia. And a big component of it, we trained some 300 vendors. And we were going to start another batch of training vendors in sales techniques, in developing their products so that they can make their products more attractive to the tourists when they come to St. Lucia. A lot of information was shared as well about the types of products that tourists would want to buy, because it is all about people at the end of the day. The reason why we do this is because of people. The reason why we went about opening the economy when COVID locked down the tourism sector, it was solely because there were 1,500 St. Lucians who were on the breadline as a result of the lockdown. And that is one of the greatest inspirations in doing that. So while the opposition was saying close the borders, they didn't have an acute understanding of the issues that people were facing. The banks were very, very good with the moratorium, but people were running out of time. This is why we went to the NIC and said, well, let's get some income support. And we allowed people registered in the NIC. Some 11,000 people benefited from that. And those individuals were able to get a check at the end of the month to help them through the difficult period. We also got monies from the World Bank, and we were able to give individuals who, like vendors, for example, and this is why some of the vendors are saying to you now that when we were there, the Ministry of Tourism, they were the ones overseeing the income support for the unregistered workers. So most of them are in the hospitality sector. So we're talking about beach vendors, we're talking about the craft vendors, the vendors in the arcade, the street vendors in Castries who are selling their stuff to tourists, the beach vendors who are selling craft and different things and who are licensed with the NCA, the guys who do beach chairs to the cruise ship passengers. It's a whole comprehensive impact that tourism has on this economy. I mean, the taxi drivers had not moved for quite some time, and there were no trips available. So what we saw was to do something urgently so that we can cushion the blow that people were feeling as a result of the high unemployment rate that came about because of COVID-19. The other thing that we were able to do was to use the construction industry to quickly stimulate the economy. So that if the waiter was home, that waiter being laid off from tourism can then go and work on the construction site.
Exactly.
Be a laborer, be a mason, be a carpenter, in other skills that waiter or that massage therapist may possess. So we want to see this kind of creativity, this kind of urgency, because a lot of people are feeling it now. I mean, while we were there, we couldn't reach everyone at the same time, but we were certainly trying our best to see how we can create as much economic activity as best as we can. And we went out there aggressively and we did everything to try to build back the industry, because we understood that the best chance of St. Lucia recovering from it was in construction and in the tourism sector. Now, I saw that the Caribbean Development Bank said that St. Lucia's economy grew by 6.9%, one of the fastest growing economies in the Eastern Caribbean. And this really, I'm sure that when you go deeper into the numbers, you will see that this had to be driven by construction and tourism.
Yes,
and
it
really,
had to.
Yeah. And so had we not done this, COVID-19 would have had a more devastating impact on the people of St. Lucia.
And you are very right, not cutting short, you're very right, because I read a report from World Bank, and they said the reason why St. Lucia was able to survive is because of the construction industry, and it kept the economy buoyant. However, we had this government come stopping every project. People are hurting. I just don't know what they're thinking. People are hurting.
we have just slowed this economy like a steam train. You remember the steam trains back in the day, how slow they
Yeah,
moved?
yeah.
And we have just, it's at snail pace. But this is the DNA of the Labour Party. If you look at the records in the Social Economic Review between 2011 and 2016, they couldn't grow the economy. The economy was impotent. So they had successive years of negative growth.
Growth.
They had another year of below 1%. And it just kept going like this. And so they never listen to anyone. They never take the time and talk to the business community about the issues that they're having. I know that the private sector is currently calling on them to address the protocols, because the private sector has seen that both of our tourism markets, the UK and the US, they are forerunners in the vaccination rates in the world. And they are way ahead of us in terms of the number of people as a ratio of their population that is fully vaccinated. And so they have created that shield. And if they haven't reached by now, they're very close to herd immunity. And so therefore, the international jurisdictions are looking at us to say, well, you need to now protect your citizens, or you need to get more of your people vaccinated. They have promised ever since they came in that they were going to do a campaign to get as many people vaccinated. Where is that nationwide campaign to drive higher vaccination rates so that we can move on and get this economy going? Now, the more that we have a low vaccination rate, we will have to institute public health measures which are going to be an impediment to economic growth or economic prosperity. When we think of creating jobs, creating linkages for small businesses, we spoke about vendors, we spoke about the taxi drivers, we spoke about the guys that are doing their beach chairs. As long as the cruise lines are going to have concerns as to whether our vendors are vaccinated or whether the people on the cruise port are vaccinated, we're going to have some problems going down the road.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
So there is an urgency of now. This government has been fiddling too much with the management of COVID.
Yes.
Today it's that they don't want to enforce the rules. They want to be Mr. Popular with everyone. They have made it so difficult for the police. I was so incensed when I saw the Prime Minister asking the police to do more. But
yes, I was like, what is he saying? I was like, what is he saying?
But he's the one that said that we need to now do it by moral suasion, that we need a society of calm, and that the wardens were too aggressive. And, and now the police hands are tied because you have the political directorate or the policymakers singing a different tune. Now, what comes out of the mouth of leaders matters. And if it is that you are going to say something that is counter to the necessary policies that are not going to support your police officers and your law enforcement, then you are going to create a chaos. And right now, the reason why this government is going to be hard-pressed to handle crime, they are not looking to solve crime from the root of the problem. Poverty alleviation has to be number one. We have to go into these communities where you have restless and anxious young people who believe that the rest of the society may have moved on and they and their friends are not realizing their dreams and aspirations. We need to go find these young people, work with them. We started the work while we were there. We did CCTV cameras. As you drive along the highway, you'll see them, and they have made crime fighting a lot easier. We've reopened the forensic lab. We've worked with civil society, and we raised monies to ensure that we made the facilities for police officers. The former First Lady did that quite aggressively and beautifully. And if you go around and you look at the facilities, you would have seen that quite a number of police stations and facilities would have been rehabilitated. But when you're not going to support your police officers, when you're going to expunge the records of criminals, and you're going to say that those are petty crimes, you're making it very
Very
difficult
difficult.
for police officers to do their jobs. And I'm afraid that before it gets better, it's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. And I believe that it is going to get worse. And we had a opposition party pushing a lot of racism and hate during the 2021 campaign. Now, I know you worked, very closely with the former Prime Minister, and as a Saint Lucian, I know your your mom is Guyanese and your dad was a Saint Lucian. I need to find out from you, how did this kind of racism and hatred towards, another fellow Saint Lucian who is of a different color than you and I, how did that affect you as a minister, as a colleague?
Well, I was absolutely ashamed that in the 21st century, that our country would still be subscribing to those views, that racist slurs would come out of the mouth of political directorates who were putting up a bid to become the leaders of this country. And I thought that, God forbid, if they ever became the leaders of our country, that that tone that they set would be a very, very, very difficult and a very dangerous one. I don't see the former Prime Minister as a white dude. Have you ever seen him dance?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen him dance?
Yeah, he think he more black than you and me, dancing better than us.
I mean, but look at his dad. Look at his father.
Yes.
Right? Who is his father?
Michael Shasley.
It really has no
black
place.
guy.
It's,
It has
it's
no place.
absolutely, it has no place. And I think that the leaders of the St. Lucia Labour Party, the political directorates, should be ashamed of themselves
They
to
should.
allow the politics of this country to go to the low level that they've allowed it. I've seen their supporters making racist slurs. We are a country that is made up of so many people. We have Indians who contribute significantly to the business sector. We have Syrians who contribute a lot to the business sector. Are we going to say to all of these races and different ethnicities that are here for so long and that have been contributing to the development of our country, that we don't want them here, we don't want them in our politics, we don't want them to have a voice at the table of national development? This is absolutely absurd. It is sinister, it is dark, it is shameful. And, we have to use our collective voices to condemn that kind of low, sick, and very, very, very crass behavior. And, they do so without shame. And now we are a tourism country where we depend on countries overseas for our market. What are we going to say to those people? That we want your
Exactly.
business, but we hate your race? What is that all about? So I just don't understand it. I'm baffled that the Prime Minister would allow that sort of thing to prevail and those kinds of narratives to prevail. But hey, we have to keep fighting against it and we have to keep condemning it. I know that the current leader of the opposition is very motivated, and I think he's more committed by those instances of prejudice that have been hurled against him. And I know him to be a very strong and very determined individual. So we're going to fight the good fight and continue to lay the issues on the table in the best
Exactly.
interest of the people of Saint Lucia.
Exactly. And one thing again I need to ask you. In the creative industry, I am very, very surprised that they all have just gone quiet. They all have just gone in a corner, because I remember when Alan Chasney had to deal with the pandemic 2020-2021, they all were speaking. Now they all have gone quiet. Have you seen anything much being done for the creative industry where you sit?
Well, I think that maybe this is a makeup. There are a lot of people in the creative sector that has gone to Dubai. So maybe this might be an overture. But what I want to say, though, is that the creative people, they've gone through a lot of tough times. And I know that that sector has been bleeding, and it's been very, very difficult because of the mass crowd controls. And so anything we can do to bring back that sector is absolutely critical. We did a lot for them while we were there. And, you know, spearheaded by the Prime Minister at the time, who really has a passion for events and for our culture, and really believes in our music and believes in our people, and believes that, you know, our guys can go on to make Grammys. And we're all very proud of what they've been able to accomplish in the last 3 years before COVID.
Yeah, and you know, we have to find ways again, because we have to learn to live with COVID, but it cannot be the same old, same old. And somebody said that, what is the significance of this battle running from point A to point B? Are people needs being met? People, and I love independence, but I'm not feeling the vibe. You know, you're not even sure of what is going on. How do you feel about that? Because I remember in 2019 we had a brilliant independence, but then again, you know, when we have a new government that came in and want to compete with the old government, we find ourselves in problem. How do you feel about the Independence Day celebration? Because I find it's very mundane, very flat.
Well, I was baffled because someone called me from Canaries asking for sponsorship for the independence festivities. And I was someone from the village council. And it said to me straight away that the government doesn't have any money. And I think that they are now realizing what we were going through. But despite COVID-19, we tried our best to ensure that our national day was placed on the horizon, and to make sure that we put it in the spotlight. Viewers to your show would remember the Prime Minister's playlist, where we saw Saint Lucian talent on display in the best way you possibly can. So I think that there's a financial crunch that is taking place with the current administration. But to your point, independence is important. Independence is a time of reflection. Independence is when the best of Saint Lucia should be on display. Independence is when we should give meaning to nation building. And it is a time for us to reflect on the many issues of nation building. So I think that this day, that this season deserves every single ounce of budget that you can find. And I do agree that they can do a lot better in the festivities. I attended the church service today and read a scripture on the podium. But there is so much more that we need to do. I'm going to wait until the festivities are over before I can give a full judgment. But what I've seen so far, I'm not feeling the vibe.
No, we're not feeling the vibe. We're not feeling anything, because independence is something that is very important to us. Now, another thing, for instance, when they were out of office, it was very, how will I say it, cruel of the opposition to allow the voters to think that there was a lot of monies that could be poured into their dresses, which we know was not correct, which was wrong. And right now they are in office and they are telling the people of Saint Lucia that your government, the United Workers' Party government, what they did, they crashed our economy, mismanagement of our economy, which we know is not true. Because as I showed the arrivals coming into Saint Lucia, 2019 we were 1.2 million, and then it crashed in 2020 because of the pandemic. So St. Lucians were filled, and right now they are feeling the pinch. Now there is another issue which I realize a lot of people are having. They're saying when they leave their country as a citizen of St. Lucia, they've gone to the United States or wherever, to come back home, there is a lot of forms to be filled and a lot of issues are happening. Now I know this was created under your watch, your ministry. What has gone wrong that right now people are complaining when they have to come back home? It's a whole long story. Sometimes they miss their flight because forms are not filled. The respective people are not coming back to them. What is the problem? What is the issue here?
You see, and this is what it is. When the Labour Party administration came into government, they said that the COVID-19 Act was unconstitutional. And they said the first thing they were going to do was to repeal that piece of legislation. Mm-hmm. They came into government. Not only did they endorse it, but the only thing that they found to change was the name of the command center. Mm-hmm. Now, I highlighted this because their approach to everything, to the management of this country, has been like putting on makeup. Mm-hmm. So you have some pimples, you just put on some makeup, rather than adjusting your diet, stop having sugar, or different fundamental changes that you can make in your life. When we set up the command center, there was a reason why we had tourism front and center. And that is because not only did you have health problems, but you also had a tourism industry that you need to reopen. And in reopening that, you can't just have anyone to oversee the people coming in and process the applicants for entrance into the country, because this is going to affect the business significantly. So while we were there, we did a lot of hard work. We had to buy technology to ensure that people can upload this seamlessly, and it improved over time. But this was a lot of work that we had to do. And I am not aware of what's happening now. I'm not sure who's in charge. But clearly, just by changing the name of the organization does not improve the challenges that we continue to face. And what we're saying to this government, rather than talking about moral suasion and all of this stuff, be tough, toughen up, make difficult decisions in the best interest of this country. Put the politics aside and stop fiddling, because in fiddling, you're confusing all of us. You know,
Yes.
Every time there is an address by our Prime Minister, I find it extremely sad.
Very
that
sad,
the
depressing.
following day, you're going to
Excuse
see
me.
about 5,000 memes going around.
Making a
Because-
mockery out of it.
Because the people of Saint Lucia, they have come to expect by now, just wait for a press conference. You will either get the science or you will get something that says, let's all go bananas. So really and truly, the government has to do something, because people have lost confidence. And I think in the best interest of the development of the country, we want people to be confident to do things. You know, a businessman said to me, these guys are going to do nothing.
Nothing.
And whatever plans he had to invest and expand his business, he's going to hold that back. In fact, he started construction on a building and decided that he was going to hold off on it because, you know, you can't trust the politics in St. Lucia these days. I mean, look at Cabot.
Yeah.
You know, a cabinet conclusion was revoked because, you know, an administration, without thinking of what this will do to business confidence and investors' confidence.
Investors won't come here.
They just went and changed the
Reverse
whole
it.
ball game. Could you
Yes.
imagine having expended millions of dollars
Yes.
because of pettiness, rather than sitting at the table and see how you can work out the issues? You went ahead and, you know, lived up to political promises.
Now, another thing, Dominic, this decision was based on pleasing the people who voted for him. But he didn't look at the bigger picture to see that investors around the world, they are all connected. Don't think Cabot is not connected. These are billionaires. They are connected. And investors will not want to come to St. Lucia, because if there was a cabinet conclusion and a new government can now come in to reverse it, investors are going to lose confidence in coming to our country to invest.
Absolutely. And so the ramifications are dire. So, I mean, if you're going to rebuild this economy, less of the politics, more of
Exactly.
economic sense, more of business sense, more of sending confidence to people to say, this is our plan. The Prime Minister and the ministers of cabinet, they have failed to articulate a plan as it pertains to the direction of this country. None of us know where we're going. How are we going to get out of the hole that we're in? What are we going to do? All we're seeing is unprecedented levels of victimization. And you see caregivers are being victimized. You see the caretakers are being victimized. City council workers, sanitation workers in various towns and village councils, and you can go down the list. Anyone that they believe are UWP supporters, they're being victimized.
And let me also add this in. For instance, you had the concept of village tourism, and Oecs right now is changing it to community tourism. They are trying to change everything the previous government did. Whatever you build on, they're trying to change the name, and whereas it's the same concept. And that's the same thing they did with the COVID Management Center. This is a government that is going to destroy our country, and I'll tell you flatly, we need the United Workers' Party to get their people in place, work the ground, because if our country stays under this government for 5 years, there would be nothing for any other new party coming in or other new government coming in to clean. They are going to destroy our country. Look at those men. They behave like little boys in the House of Parliament. And we need to agitate because the poor people, the Malaways they campaigned on are getting nothing. Look at CIP, Invest Saint Lucia Tourism Authority. Only friends, family, and cliques are in there. What are the little man on the street? What is he getting to survive?
Well, I can tell you that the little man has seen right through the Labour Party and all of its bluffs. They are seeing all the lies. I go to supermarkets and people stop me and they express their frustration. There are people who are just so frustrated that they can't wait for the next election. But, we still have some time to go. I would hope that, and I would certainly like to see, at least we can create some jobs within that time. At least we can get healthcare better organized. At least we can fix the current crime situation. We just can't go through all of this for 5 years. And so, which is why we are here in the opposition agitating, and we are here calling on the government to get serious about the business of running this country, because it is an important business. Too many people are going to suffer as a result. Look at how many construction workers are unable to feed their families because of the various construction projects that they have stopped. St. Jude's Hospital stopped. Talvan Housing Project stopped. The Tuya Housing Project stopped. The Rodney Bay Road stopped. And I can go on and on and on and on. There are roads down in my constituency. The Millet Road should have been done by now. The funding was there. The tendering through the World Bank was done. And so really and truly people are getting fed up of this nonsense. And the government really needs to stop victimizing people, start doing the things that are strategic to manage this country and to take us all forward. But clearly, the DNA of the St. Lucia Labour Party has always been the UWP builds the house, the SLP comes and power wash the house and put a coat of paint and call it something else. So whether Ernest calls it community tourism or village tourism, it is still a program that was conceived by the United Workers' Party. I'm very proud of what has happened in my constituency, well, the constituency I previously represented. Mm-hmm. If you go to the Ancillary Waterfront, and I want you to come do a little tour, bring your cameraman, and you will see right now, the people of Ancillary, there's a mini hotel, 90% completed. There's a restaurant on the waterfront in the location of the old community center building, right on the beach. Beautiful restaurant. as we seek to target the yachting industry. 90% completed. The fish fry building that you know, totally rehabilitated with more of a focus on the wonderful beachfront and the mystique and charm of the ancillary bay that has been abandoned by the St. Lucia Labour Party for so long. I do hope that they continue with the designs to uplift the square of ancillary and to extend the jetty. We had already spoken to the ferry providers in Martinique, and they were willing to come to ancillary and do from Fort-de-France to Rodney Bay to Martinique. So ancillary would have become a port in itself,
The hub, yeah.
where the ferry comes from. Now, the Labour Party's different approaches, let us give everyone some money. The UWP's approach is let us make people depend less on politicians,
That's right.
but more on themselves.
Yes,
and let us now
self-sufficient.
give them, let us now empower them with the tools. So we
Yes.
create economic opportunities.
Yes.
We create jobs. We create training. There were over 200 young people that were trained in the ancillary canneries area, and they were trained with NAPS. In the NAPS program, there were over 1,400 that were trained nationally, and all of them went on the cruise ship, they got jobs, and so on. But that is what it's about. It's about training our people, it's about empowering them, it's about picking the low-hanging fruit where they exist. The cruise industry, they're going to need thousands of people as they continue the restart. And so this is a free advice to the government. Train the people, give them the opportunity to go on the cruise ships, make the monies available so that they can go get the visa, so that they can afford the airline tickets to go and to work and to fend for their families. I can't say this loud enough, please. And so, therefore, you can call it community tourism. It's the same program that was designed
It's the same
by
thing.
the UWP, and we are very proud of our communities. Grosley Waterfront, we had started doing some work there as well. Look at what Herod has done in Sohria. Just a magnificent job. Sohria was totally transformed. And, you know, he has done more than any other representative.
Now,
in the history of
let me just cut you short there. For instance, many of your supporters and SLP supporters, because I believe the people of Ancillary Canneries, they're a unique bunch. And I really wish every constituency in St. Lucia was like that. They do not play. If you are not working for me, we are going to talk. Now, many of them, they are complaining that they are not seeing Wayne Girard, like he is missing in action. What have you heard about this?
Well, I saw that someone put out a ransom for him. They were willing to pay up to $1,500 if anyone can tell them about the whereabouts of the freshly elected MP. But I'm told that he's usually in Rodney Bay Marina. That's where you need
Oh,
to go.
really? So Rodney
Yeah.
Bay Marina voted for him and not the people of Ancillary Canneries?
That's what I'm told. I'm told that you can find him in Rodney Bay Marina instead of in his constituency office. I'm not sure where it is. I don't think that there's one established as yet, but he's gone hiding. The stories are not very good stories. If I tell you them, I'm the wrong messenger. People are going to think that it's political, but clearly we can do better. There's a lot of regrets, even from Labour Party supporters who
Yes,
call
lots
me
of
up all the
regrets.
time. And what is happening is a divisive type of approach from the current MP. So far, he has failed to articulate a plan for the constituency. Where is the constituency going? You know, a lot of the work that we had started, like the Jackmel Field, just in the area where his family are from. And, you know, the field was allowed to languish. The field was just there with you know, forest of grass. And when we took it to an international standard, we brought in the very best, the curator from the Bossage Cricket Ground, to really give this rural community some pride and to uplift the standards of sporting facilities in this area. We really saw a significant plunge into decline, and it was really terrible when you've worked so hard on something to see it all vanish. The preschool in Jackmill, I was there recently, and it has just opened. A lot of politics was played there. Some of the people who were interviewed, and they were called and told by the ministry that they were no longer needed. They interviewed very well, but that's life, and we have to continue to agitate for those people, and we have to make sure we bring it to rest. But I'm very proud of what the United Workers' Party has done in Ancillary Canaries. You pass by, you see the health center. I got invited the day of the health center's opening. And, really I would have gone despite the fact that I received the invite late, but I just really could not make it. And by the time the secretary in the office called to say an invitation had just come in, I wasn't dressed. I really couldn't attend. But it's a project that I worked so hard on. And it's a project that I got so much support. There was a cash deficit needed after we looked at the project again. And the project needed about $2.6 million. And the Minister of Finance then made it available for us. I think in the end we spent about 11 point something million, somewhere in that region. And we have given the people of Ancillary a first-class facility. And, I'm going to continue to advocate that we need a hospital in that village.
Yes.
And, there's space, there's room in that current facility so that we can establish some beds in that area, so it can help with the improve the primary care, health care of the country, and to give support to the national hospital. So one of the reasons why my voice is still being heard is because we want to do all of this. We want to make sure that Ancillary in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, will no longer be known as the forgotten or the poorest village.
Exactly.
They're not the poorest village.
Exactly.
There are people there, which, I am so blessed to have done this, because you see people who do things, people who don't qualify for loans, but yet they built houses.
Yeah.
They put money together. They do kudmes. They organize themselves. They save. They make the sacrifices. They do very little, and they make ends meet, and they put it all together, and they ensure that they arrive at their dreams and aspirations. And I tell you, I have never seen a more determined and committed people.
Yes.
And I'm very, very happy. And they deserve a good representative
They
that
do.
will work with them,
With
that
them.
will not cast them aside, and that will continue to show them the way, how they can, continue to develop their communities. In the Derando Center, when we came into the constituency, this is in Millet, a little community called Derando, and the Labour Party had neglected this community center for about 11 years, and it wasn't open. We came in and we said that this is an absolute atrocity, and what we have to do is to open up this facility. And so we opened it up, and we spent quite a hefty sum. We got all the tradesmen in the area. This building, prior to opening, had a lot of roaches and bats and rats, and the roof was completely gone. So we had to redo the flooring, we had to redo the plumbing, we had to redo the electricity in the building. When we wanted to have a meeting in Millet, we had to put tents on the basketball courts because there was no public place that you could have a meeting in Vanna. And I'm glad that together, working with the community, and we didn't just build a white elephant. This is where we did all of the training that I spoke about, the over 200 young individuals who were trained to really get involved in tourism businesses and in tourism jobs. And I am extremely proud of the small change we've been able to make. It's truly special, and this is the best thing that you can do with your life, is to serve. And
Is to serve. Yes.
I'm absolutely honored and humbled by the fact that the people of Ancillary had given me that opportunity.
I think they miss you because you never miss the water till the well run dry. And the thing I like about the ancillary people, they're very honest. If you're not working for them, UWP, SLP, they're going to say it. And I wish that every constituency of ours in St. Lucia was like them. And I know you are not a lazy person, because you lost your seat and you're very involved, because I see the movement, I see what you're doing. You're very involved with the people within the constituency, and that is awesome. And I know that you plan to run again, and I am very confident with your work and with the people of ancillary canneries being disgruntled. I'm very sure that you are going to be successful at that polling on polling day. So it was a
Well, I
pleasure.
can't be too sure about running again. I have to make sure that the people would like
Okay,
me to.
yes, I
I can do
agree.
that.
I agree. We have to make sure, but the only way you can make sure if the people will want you is you continue working the ground, you keep being with them and feeling their pulse. So I'll give you the last words, what to say, what you want to say to my audience.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, Sohria, for hosting me tonight. I've had a fantastic time on your show. And, whenever the opportunity arises for me to discuss the future of our country, whenever the opportunity comes for us to talk about the issues that confront us and find solutions to our problems, it's one of the things that I love to do, because I still believe that the United Workers' Party has a superior vision, a superior plan for this country. We told you everything that we were going to do. We leveled with you when it came to the various challenges that we were facing. We did a tremendous job between 2016 and 2019 in rebuilding this economy. After years of negative growth and low growth from the St. Lucia Labour Party administration, which went about borrowing over $300 million in the 5 years that it presided over. And so, had it not been for COVID, we had gotten to a tremendous place in 2019. And so, we are still here. We're still going to fight for you. We're still going to raise your issues, and we will champion your causes to make sure that we keep this government honest, so that they do the right thing by you, the people of St. Lucia that elected them to govern this country and take it to prosperity.
Thank you very much, Dominic Fedee, our former Minister of Tourism and the former Member of Parliament for Ancillary Canneries. It was a pleasure having you, and I hope that my audience, you really listened and you really learned something tonight. The purpose of my show, as I have always said, is for you to think critically. Today, I received a call from somebody who was following me. The individual asked me for my number and I gave it to them. And the person said, I just had to call you. I just had to say to you, your show is at a different level. Your content, your intelligence, how you bring things across to the people of Saint Lucia, and I am going to support you. And they were very pleased with the video we did about how to support with the coffee. And that individual said, I am going to support you 100% with those coffees. I am going to buy you coffees. And the individual said, instead of fighting, people need to unite. And instead of causing unnecessary confusion, we need to bind. And that person was so happy. The individual also said, sometimes I'm able to watch your program, but I make sure the next day I go and watch everything. Content. When you watch me, it's not about Roro. Sohria is not about Roro. I know many people maybe want me to be in the Roro that's going on. So not about that. I'm about bringing you the truth. I'm about being focused. And when I have to give you all the licks, I'll give you all the licks. Stop calling people and asking them, are you watching show? Do not watch it. Y'all need to elevate. My show is for the people. What I am doing, you could have other people thinking positively and coming across to you. The goal should be, you should be embracing a show like that. You should be embracing honesty. And when people call me and tell me those things, I know I am doing a good job. And it is sad that some of you are asking people not to watch my show, and the people are saying they are going to continue watching it. My show is to elevate you. And if you want to be elevated, continue staying with So. Love y'all. I will be with y'all on Monday again. We're going to have some fun. And thanks to all the coffee. Annette and some other people bought coffees. Thank you so much. Love y'all. And I will see y'all on Monday. God's pay. Happy Independence. Bye.